Welcome to She Sells Radio. I'm excited about this message today. And this is also, I want to say the fourth or fifth episode I've done completely unscripted now, maybe more than that, maybe closer to 10. Sometimes I lose track now that we're doing the dailies. I'm like, I don't know what I've recorded and when, but I'll be honest, there was a part of me at first that didn't think I could do it and didn't even know it was a good idea, right? Because with the show, you want to kind of take people on some sort of a journey. But I've been loving leaning into just literally showing up and sharing from the heart and letting whatever is supposed to come through, and trusting that that is going to be good enough or more than enough. And I've got several messages I'm really lit up about today. So I think I'm going to do a couple back to back here. And I had time scheduled later this afternoon to record, but it's, you know what? It was flowing this morning. And I said, let me get up here and turn on the mic and talk. And so the first thing I want to talk about today in this episode for you is what happens when we find ourselves trying to fit into a box. And oftentimes we find ourselves trying to fit into a certain box because we think that's the only way we can get our good. That's the only way we can work with a certain type of client or be successful in our sales role or have the vision or outcome that we want or get the relationship or do whatever. And I've been getting clearer on this and how this was showing up in my own life over the past month or so. And especially even, I'd say the past week has been a lot of very strong messages. But today I felt like there was something I needed to surrender and I didn't know what it was. And I literally just in the past hour got clarity on it of what it was. And it was an element of trying to fit into a box. And so I'm going to share with you high level details, and then you can take those and apply that to your own life. So I've had a desire for a while now to bring on a really incredible corporate partnership or a couple of corporate partnerships in the form of consulting, podcast sponsorship, helping them with media, there's so many different ways it could look and so many different ways that I've done it in the past. And it's something that really lights me up, the thought of doing it. And it's something that I'm good at. It's something I know I can get results at because I've done it in the past. And when this idea first came to mind, now this was honestly it's something that I've been wanting to do for a while. I started working on it end of last year, and then things went in a different direction with the company. I kind of let it go. And then I'd say in the past month, I've really ramped back up my efforts with connections and outreach and yada, yada. And nothing has really been, it's like there's been trickles. There's been some movement, but there hasn't been a contract signed. There hasn't been this is an absolute yes for both of us yet. And I was finding that it was feeling a little bit heavy this morning as I was thinking about it. And what I really got clear on was I was so committed to it had to be a certain type of client. And for me, it was this particular industry that I've done a lot of work in the past. I've had a lot of success with clients in the past. It's a lucrative industry. I love working in it. There's great opportunity in it. So in my mind, when I was originally creating this, because when we create something, right, we want to be specific and clear. So I saw very specifically and clearly a partnership with a company in this certain type of industry. And when I would write about it in my goals every morning, it was I'm partnered with this type of company and here's how it's working. And I liked the specificity of it because I could visualize it and I could imagine it. And up until this point, everything my experience has told me is that that would be the perfect fit for what I'm wanting to do here. And there was also a part of me, as I really set this vision to go out and create this type of a partnership, that felt like I had to almost dilute my message in order to be able to be heard by this type of an industry that's a little more old-fashioned than you can imagine. And so I would find myself sometimes when I would do, this is over the past few months, I do a marketing post and it would be like, well, is that going to be too much for some client who hasn't even hired me yet? I mean, I want you to think about the silliness of the thinking here, but this was literally what was going on in my mind. A client would never hire me if I did that, if I had that type of picture up, if I said that thing, if I went too far into saying what I really think about how we create success in life and the need for us to deepen spiritual connection, the need for us to be a vibrational match for our desires, et cetera, if we want to really get great results in sales, our career, and in life. And so I would find myself like kind of little by little diluting my message. And, I talk about not making clients God. I talk about not making clients source. And yet that's exactly what I was doing. And it's not a client. Like, I don't know who this person is. And I really got it today that I need to weigh. I got a couple things. Number one, releasing who this company or companies are, who the company is or who the companies are. And that any client who I really want to work with in this capacity, they're not going to want me to dilute what I have to say. They're not going to want me to have to fit into a box. They're going to want me to speak my truth. They're going to want me to share what I know. They're going to want me to bring something different, something fresh. You can maybe relate to this depending on what you're doing when you're really changing the conversation in an industry. There's a lot of people who won't understand, and you have to be confident and comfortable not being understood, not being liked by everyone, not being hired by certain people, because they may just not be ready for it yet. And this struck me even more. I'll kind of out myself. I had this experience last week where I was invited in to help lead a webinar for a sales enablement company, and we were doing a planning call. And it's a super cool company. Like I'm really excited for it. But on the planning call, one of the other co-facilitators of the webinar asked me. We were talking about like what the challenges or concerns are in the industry right now and what would most benefit people to talk about on the webinar. And he was like, Elise, like, what's the anxiety that you're hearing from your clients? And when he said it, my mind literally blanked, because I was like, my clients aren't in anxiety. I literally couldn't think of anything. It's not that we don't all have our personal things we're working through. It's not that we don't all have those human moments where that shows up. But one of the core foundational things that I teach and work on with my clients is to create from an elevated state, how to get yourself out of anxiety, how to get yourself out of fear, how to get yourself out of overwhelm, and that none of the results you want are coming from those states. And so it's one of the first things we do. And one of the things that gets, if not completely eradicated, it's not a big conversation that I'm having with my clients. And so when he said that, I was like, and literally in that moment on the spot, everyone's looking at me. They're expecting something. And the little part of me that felt like I had to fit in with everybody else, like scrambled to find some story of, I was able to find something of someone who's not even a client and something they had said that they were worried about for their organization. But looking back on it, it didn't, sometimes when you're in the moment with stuff, you're kind of going through it and then you move on to the next meeting. Looking back on it, the opportunity there was to actually speak my truth and to say, it's not really a thing that I'm hearing from my clients or that my clients are dealing with right now. And I know that would have been a, what are you talking about moment? I know people probably wouldn't have believed me, and that's okay too, because not everyone will believe you when you speak your truth, and that's totally fine. And I'm sure I'll get another opportunity, maybe today, that's how it works. I'm sure I'll get another opportunity to really be okay with not being understood, but making it more important to say what I believe and what I think is true. And so what I've really opened up to and gotten clarity on, even more clarity today, is that there is nothing worth sacrificing you being the fullness of who you are. There is no client that's worth you compromising your values, your integrity, not saying what you really believe, not showing up as you really want to. You know, I did the math, and I'll do another podcast episode on this soon, but I've actually released about $500,000 of revenue this year that was contracted because in some way, shape, or form, it wasn't aligned. Now, could that money have made a big difference for me and for my family and for my vision? Yes. When I added up the numbers, I was like, holy crap, I can't believe that's how much it was. And have there been moments that have been very uncomfortable with that? Yes. And has it felt like the right thing to do? Yes. Because anytime we find ourselves compromising what we want to say, compromising who we are, trying to fit into a box to please someone else, oftentimes someone who's not even like what I was doing, they're not even a real person. Like, I don't know who this corporate client was that I was trying to please, but I was definitely making them God. And that's not the path. So we get to really surrender the how of our goals, right? We get to really surrender who our clients are. We get to really surrender and be open to, sometimes you do have to release in order to make space for the new. And that's been kind of the journey of this year in some elements. And it's been uncomfortable, but it's also been, I talked about this on another episode recently. I've had so many gifts in wisdom. I've had so many gifts in deepening my spiritual connection. I've had so many gifts in deepening my understanding of just how life really works and what's important, and knowing that I'm always okay no matter what. And there were parts of me that were very afraid of those lessons before I had them. But now that I've had them, there's this knowingness. There's a knowingness, and there's an unwillingness to compromise my values, my integrity, my voice, what I believe in, for anyone to hire me. And so I just wanted to share that with you today, because I've been having conversations recently with some women who are saying, in some way, shape, or form, a number of the conversations have been more with women in corporate who are saying, like, this sales process that I have to use feels so out of alignment with who I am. I don't feel like myself. I don't feel like I'm in integrity. It feels hard. It feels like a push. It feels masculine. And, or maybe you can relate more to what I said, where maybe you're an entrepreneur and you've been filtering what you do and what you put out there through the lens of, will so-and-so like it? Will so-and-so, will this resonate with so-and-so, et cetera? And to me, I've always seen in my own life, when I just get really clear on what's true for me, and I get really clear on what my values are and live according to those, that's when the magnetic attraction comes in. That's when people come in who are unexpected and who are dream clients or dream opportunities. That's when it's not, I've sent 100 pitches or outreaches for this type of a partnership and nothing's happening. That's when something comes to you. Not that there's not sometimes some reaching out and some things that are needed to be done, but it's not the heavy action. And I've even been finding myself in more of that heavy action mode as I subconsciously made this type of a client my source. So I'm releasing it and I'm surrendering it. And I'm so open to how it takes form, who it is. I know the essence of what I want. I know the contribution I want. I know the type of partnership I want. I know the experience I want. I know what I want to give. I know how I can be of service, but I'm no longer attached to, it has to be this industry. It has to be this certain type of client, or it has to look this way. And so I think that's the invitation for all of us. And if this message is resonating with you, to really kind of loosen up our grip on who our clients have to be, how something has to happen in our lives, and instead to say, what's the essence of what I'm going for? And then is there any way in which I've been micromanaging the process, strangle holding the process, saying it has to be this way or this type of industry, this type of person? And remembering that the more we practice speaking our truth, the more we practice showing up fully ourselves, the more we practice doing what feels right to us. And I'll do another episode for my women in sales who are, if you're in a process that doesn't feel right for you and you don't know what to do, I've been there. I've navigated that. I know how hard that can be. And I'll do a separate episode talking about that with some things that help me. But really knowing and trusting that your own alignment is going to lead you to everything you want. Your own alignment and allowing your good to unfold will lead you to everything you want. So that's my message for you today, my friend. I hope that this serves you. I hope that this speaks to you. I'd love to hear your biggest takeaways. I'm at Elise Archer on all social. I will also share, I'm so excited. Our 50K club is now open for enrollment. So if you're a woman who's already at the 6-figure level, you're ready to take it to a whole new level, start experiencing 50K plus months, but with fun and allowing and alignment and joy and ease, head over to elisearcher.com/50K club. You can learn more about the program and how to apply. We are limiting spots to 20 women. And I'd love to connect with you if it's speaking to you. So thank you so much for tuning in today. I got a lot to say, so keep listening. There's been a lot of downloads recently that I'm excited to share. So I'll be sharing more of those in another podcast episode very soon. Lots of love.